When the euro first went into circulation in 2001, some Europeans were skeptical, divided over whether their countries would be better or worse off. And over the years, that support has continued to fluctuate. Today, though, it seems the majority of people are happy with the euro. According to the results of a new Eurobarometer survey, 3 in 4 Europeans think the currency is a good thing for the EU. 64% of respondents think it's good for their individual country. Happiest are the Irish. And while the Italians are the least convinced, 57% still think the euro is good for Italy, up 12 points from last year, despite a growing spat with Brussels over its spending plans and projected debt. And joining me to weigh up the euro, we have Petras Austrevicius, a liberal Lithuanian MEP with the ALDE group, Christoph Hansen, a Luxembourgish Christian Democrat with the EPP group, and still with us is Rasmussen Global's director, Nina Schick. All right, are you surprised by this result, that the euro is actually quite popular?
I actually am not surprised at all, because coming from Luxembourg, we have the border is at from every point you go, it's very close. So you're really dependent on a currency that you can use when you do shopping on a daily basis. So for us, it's of course not a big surprise. In
Lithuania, I think Lithuania did quite low on the approval rating of the euro. Why is that?
Well, I mean, while we are very Euro-optimistic, I mean, generally speaking about the EU membership, but you should probably take into account that Lithuania is the youngest Eurozone country. I mean, it takes for us, I mean, a while, I mean, to adjust and especially to converge. I mean, it's about the economic convergence after all. And I think the reason behind, I mean, among the broad population is like euro is blamed because of the price increase, inflation. And the price increase really took some benefits, I mean, from the euro membership. But I'm optimistic. I mean, it's a matter of time, because we are so dependent. We're not Eurozone surrounded, by the way, but nevertheless, I mean, we are very much dependent on single market.
The optimistic Luxembourg, kind of pessimistic, cautious Lithuania, but then there's Italy. Did that surprise you, that Italians actually want to be part of the euro?
That did surprise me to a certain extent, but having seen kind of the electoral cycle of 2017, when Le Pen, didn't do well with her kind of message to leave the Eurozone or leave the EU, unsurprisingly, because I think that the public, when they think about this, they're not entirely consistent. So if you look at, for example, Greece, when Syriza, held that referendum in 2015, they said, we want to end austerity, but we don't want to leave the euro and we don't want to leave the EU either. So I think that the public hasn't quite figured out the intricacies in some of the structural flaws, which I think both MEPs on this panel will agree with, are still
I was going to say, because the structural flaws that we talked about of the euro, the currency itself, it existed and it's not going to go away. I think some people are hoping that time would just sweep it under the rug, but that's not going to happen, is it? The problems will come up.
The problems will come up, of course, but if you are in a union, you have some certain rules to respect. You have some discipline to cope with, and then. We will need to work on it. We will never have something completely perfect. So it's something where constant work needs to be done, and I think the proposals emitted by the 5 presidents report is going into that direction, the deepening of the EMU. There is a lot of work still to do up to 2025.
I'll give you the last word on the euro.
Well, Lithuanians are very much in favor of making the economic governance better. So we rely on euro. We understand, I mean, it's our future, it's our economic ties and system. But, we're looking at other countries as well. Perform, I mean, accordingly and evenly, not just to ask 1 or 2 countries. I mean, economic semesters are not properly implemented. And this is a big reason,
for concern.
So despite the risk,
this is the path that one takes, it seems.
Indeed.